Maybe this
Okay,
might
we're
be
on
my
air.
no time since my name didn't get called in any of this. I got to laugh and carry on.
The county does.
Well, we've had a little bit of fun here before we get started this morning. I'd like to call the Reno County Commission meeting to order. And we will start like we normally do with the Pledge of Allegiance to honor our country. And I've asked Commissioner Parks to honor and acknowledge our Creator with a prayer this morning. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Bow with me if you would. Our gracious and great Heavenly Father, Lord, we just come before you this morning thanking you for another day of life. We thank you, Lord, for the abilities you've given each one of us and the blessings that you bestow on each one of us as well, Lord. Knowing full well we don't deserve the things that you do, we're gracious in the way you do that, and we're thankful for that. Lord, we ask you to guide this meeting this morning. Lord, guide the mouths, guide the brains. We ask, and maybe just guide the interaction, that we would make the decisions that would be honorable to you and certainly best serve this county. Thank you for the folks that are here this morning. I just pray that you bless each one of them as well. Lord, we pray for rain this morning. We know we need it very badly. We just ask that you pour the rains out upon the grounds as we need that. And Lord, just watch over each one of us as we leave this room this morning. Protect us, take us where we need to be next. And we just ask these things in Jesus' name. Amen.
Amen. Thank you, Commissioner.
Good morning.
Good morning. We're going to start this morning with some proclamations regarding our youth, our young children, and those who take care of them. Go ahead.
Am I reading? Okay, so I'm going to introduce myself. My name's Eva Patterson. I am the supervisor with the program called Healthy Families, and we are with the Kansas Children's Service League. We serve very young children, moms that are pregnant, and families that have young babies, and we help teach them some great parenting skills. We are the Prevent Child Abuse chapter in Kansas. And so we are here for April to proclaim it as National Child Abuse Prevention Month.
I'm going to read the proclamation now, and we have three of them that all have to do with our children.
Okay, we're two of them.
You're two of them?
Yes, sir.
Okay, well, not sure I'll read which one. I'm going to read them, okay?
You're fine.
Whereas our children are our most valuable resources and will shape the future of Reno County, Kansas. And whereas childhood trauma, including abuse and neglect, is a serious problem affecting every segment of our community, and finding solutions requires input and action from everyone. And whereas childhood trauma can have long-term psychological, emotional, and physical effects that have lasting consequences for victims of abuse. And whereas protective factors are conditions that reduce or eliminate risk and promote the social, emotional, and development well-being of children. And whereas effective child abuse prevention activities succeed because of the partnerships created between child welfare professionals, education, health, community, and faith-based organizations, businesses, law enforcement agencies, and families. And whereas communities must make every effort to promote programs and activities that build strong children and families. And whereas we acknowledge that we must work together as a community and partnership to build awareness about child abuse and contribute to promoting the social and emotional well-being of children and families in a safe, stable, and nurturing environment. And whereas prevention remains the best defense for our families and children. Now therefore, we, the Board of County Commissioners of Reno County, Kansas, do hereby proclaim the month of April 2026 to be National Child Abuse Prevention Month, and urge all citizens to recognize this month by dedicating ourselves to the task of improving the quality of life for all children and families. In witness whereof, we have hereunto set our hands and caused the seal of Reno County, Kansas, to be affixed this 25th day of March 2026. Whereas the April 6th through 10th, 2026 is recognized. Health part, okay, I'm sorry. Pardon that mistake here. Whereas the Early Childhood Council and other local organizations, in conjunction with the National Association for the Education of Young Children, are celebrating the Week of the Young Child, April 13th through 18th, 2026. And whereas these organizations are working to improve early learning opportunities, which are crucial to the growth and development of young children, and to building better futures for everyone in Reno County. And whereas all young children and their families across the country and in Reno County deserve access to high-quality early education and care. And whereas in recognizing and supporting the people, programs, and policies that are committed to high-quality early childhood education as the right choice for kids. Now, therefore, we, the Board of County Commissioners of Reno, Kansas, do hereby proclaim the week of April 13th through 18th, 2026 as Week of the Young Child, and encourage all citizens to work to make a good investment in early childhood in Reno County, Kansas. In witness whereof, we have hereunto set our hands and caused the seal of Reno County, Kansas, to be affixed this 25th day of March 2026.
Thank you. With the Week of the Young Child, that is all of the early childhood programs that we get together. And quickly, some of the free things going on in the community that week: the Cosmosphere, the Hutchinson Library, Dillon Nature Center, Third Thursday, the museum, and the zoo. Those will be things that'll be free to everyone in the community that week. So, thank you.
And if you'll come up, I'll have you.
Okay. Thank you so much. Okay, now I got flash. Thank you so much. Sorry.
Go ahead, Megan. And
Good morning, Megan Gottschalk, Assistant Director for Community Health at the Reno County Health Department. And we're excited to announce that Public Health Week is coming up in April 6th through the 10th, I believe. Public health, we're here to celebrate public health as an entity that supports everything in our community. Public health touches the sidewalks that we walk on, the air that we breathe, all of the things that we encounter with health, public health touches in some fashion. So we're here to have the proclamation said.
We appreciate your work. This is in honor of National Public Health Week. Whereas the week of April 6th through 10th, 2026 is recognized as National Public Health Week, an opportunity to celebrate the contributions of public health and to highlight the importance of prevention and community well-being. And whereas the Reno County Health Department and its partners are committed to improving the health and quality of life for residents through strategic planning, collaboration, and evidence-based public health practices. And whereas Reno County has identified community health priorities through the Community Health Assessment, access to care, transportation, substance misuse, food insecurity, mental health, child care housing, and dental health, and addressing health disparities and strengthening community voice. And whereas addressing health disparities and strengthening community voice helps ensure that community needs are heard and considered in planning and decision-making around all community health issues. And furthermore, collaboration among local government, healthcare providers, community organizations, businesses, and residents is essential to building a strong and healthy Reno County. Now therefore be it proclaimed by the Board of County Commissioners of Reno County, Kansas, that April 6th through 10th, 2026 shall be known as National Public Health Week. In witness thereof, we have hereunto set our hands and caused the seal of Reno County, Kansas to be affixed this 25th day of March, 2026. Thank you. Come up. Now, is there anyone in the audience who would like to make a public comment with regards to items that are not on the agenda? Please state your name and address. Ma'am?
Good morning. I'm Susie Ratzlaff. I live at 3512 North Bueller Road. I want to thank you for allowing me to share my concerns regarding two different industries, data centers and battery energy storage systems. Data centers seem to be in the news almost every day, but until just a few weeks ago, I was not familiar with battery energy storage systems, otherwise known as BESS. Since then, I've learned in the last few months that Sumner and Saline counties and the city of Halstead have all rejected proposals to build a BESS. Now, while most of the counties in our area have not had proposals to consider, almost all of them have created moratoriums on BESS and/or data centers. Out of 11 counties in the central part of Kansas, we are one of only 3 counties which does not have a moratorium on either of these industries. But one of those other 3 counties does already have regulations for it, so it doesn't need a moratorium for BESS. Of these counties that have enacted moratoriums, 2 put them in place last summer, while 6 other counties have implemented them since January of this year. Most of them have been done in the last 2 months. These moratoriums last from 18 months to 2.5 years for BESS and 90 days to 3 years for data centers, but those timeframes are able to be rescinded or extended at the county's discretion. One county recently extended their moratorium to refine their policy and get public feedback. Now, it's important to remember a moratorium is not a ban, it's a pause. The counties mentioned that they had enacted the moratoriums to give themselves time to study how BESS or data centers would fit into their county's comprehensive plan, identify zoning regulation changes that might be required, and address concerns about the potential impact on property owners, safety, and future land use. One county commissioner noted it was going to take significantly more time to develop regulations for these emerging technologies than for other types of projects. A planning and zoning director in a different county commented that it's always best to have the regulation in place before an application or interest comes into the county. At the February Reno County Planning Commission meeting, some of the members talked about their desire to be proactive in discussing BESS and data centers, but that they're unable to do that unless you, the County Commission, direct them to do so. Two current members of the Planning Commission, who were also on it during the wind farm debate in Reno County, remembered how difficult it was to go through that process without regulations, and that they wanted to avoid going through that situation again. These issues need to be addressed soon. Last week, a local newspaper reported that a developer is interested in building a data center in Hutchinson. This same developer also wants to build a 100 megawatt, 50,000 square foot, large-scale data center somewhere in Reno County, which would be his first project of that size. I urge you to direct the Planning Commission to begin looking at regulations regarding BESS and data centers, and that you also enact moratoriums to provide time to study these technologies. While Reno County wants to be known as being open for business, it does not want to be blindly open to any type of business which could potentially pose environmental, health, or other issues for the people of this county now and in the future. It would not be a wise decision to invite these industries into our community without thoroughly investigating and understanding the problems that have occurred in other parts of the country. We don't want people to look back in the future and mark the arrival of BESS or data centers as the beginning of serious issues in Reno County that could have been avoided by spending more time focusing on not just the financial impact the developers promise, but any potential negative effects. Identifying the right regulations to protect the people of Reno County is vital. Recently at the Data Center Forum, one of the presenters said that developers see a moratorium of a year or more as a sign of weak leadership. That may be how developers see it, but the people of Reno County will see your actions as a sign of strong leadership from a commission who's watching out for the best interests of the people of this county, both today and in the future. They are the ones whose opinions should matter most. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. Anyone else? All right, appreciate the input, Dawn. Do you have a comment?
Yeah, as a citizen. We just had several proclamations on young children and what's happening there. Hits pretty close to home this week. We've got a little guy in the hospital, and I want to urge all parents, grandparents, to err on the side of caution. This respiratory disease, viral respiratory disease that's been going around in our schools and various places. These little bitty guys don't have the body mass and to fight this stuff off. We're fortunate our little guy's getting better. But err on the side of caution. Get there soon. Things happen fast. And don't put yourself in a position of having to second guess yourself for the rest of your life. Get these little guys there soon. And like I said, we're very fortunate. Our little guy's coming around. I hope to be playing our version of catch with him by the end of the week. Thank you.
I think we've already had early discussions, just for your information, between the city of Hutch County and the city of South Hutch with regard to that, and there'll be a conversation about that towards the end of the meeting. So it's not something that we've just put off. It's something that we're starting. And thank you for the information. Dawn, thank you for comments. Is there any additions or revisions to the agenda as presented by staff? I hear none. Is there anyone who would like to take up an item on the consent agenda for later discussion? If not, I would entertain a motion to approve the consent agenda as presented by staff. Dawn?
I would make the motion to pass the consent agenda as prepared by staff.
I'll second it.
Been moved and seconded to approve the consent agenda as presented by staff. Roll call, please.
Commissioner Parks,
Yes.
Commissioner Vincent,
Yes.
Commissioner Winger,
Yes.
Commissioner Bogner,
Yes.
Commissioner Hurst.
Yes. Okay, on to business items. 7A, Reno County, City of Hutchinson fights additional fund grant program for fights addiction fund grant program for 2026, funding to Reno County Community Corrections for $15,000 and Horizons Mental Health Center for $63,502. Candace?
Yeah, good morning. Candace Davidson with the Reno County Health Department. We are, first I wanted to talk to you a little bit about, we got our final report from Reno Connections from last year's grant, so I just wanted to give you a few highlights there, and this will be coming to you all soon as well, the entire thing. But United Way Reno Connections received a grant of $50,000 last year from you all under the Opioid Settlement Funds Advisory Committee in the Reno County Hutchinson Fights Addiction Fund. So they set a bold goal of strategically reducing the barriers that clients face when trying to access resources. In consequence, clients and providers are reporting positive interactions. Reno Connections changed a few internal processes that have significantly improved how they facilitate referrals. Their intake process now centers around barriers and client goals to achieve within a 6 or 12-month period. They have noted several positives that resulted from that internal change, including jobs secured, permanent housing secured, success with overcoming substance use disorder, clients successfully completing court mandates. They also continue to aid in bridging the gap between recovery and success by satisfying inequalities that prohibit persons in recovery from excelling. So the top 5 requests they get that this funding helped to go towards is driver's license or state IDs, birth certificates, bus passes, resource navigation and housing assistance, direct financial support. So they do not provide direct financial support. However, they can guide them to the correct agency to do that. And the need is still very great. Reno Connections has worked tirelessly to educate our community on the necessity of resource navigation as a means of intervention and establishing independence. Their program's success is not measured by the number of transactions, but by the result of each transaction. Client engagement is changing, and they are moving from transactional connection to interpersonal connections. So they're really seeing a great resources there. And great buy-in from the community. So Reno Connections provided comprehensive resource navigation, facilitated warm handoffs to partner agencies, and initiated a series of peer mentorship interactions. As a result, the client stabilized, employment was had, and maintained childcare placement. They were able to develop a stronger support network. The family remains actively engaged with Reno Connections, utilizing peer mentorship as an ongoing source of encouragement and accountability. So just for numbers' sake, they had 466 peer mentor appointments, 62 driver's license, 177 birth certificates, and 31 job readiness and employment searches were done. So they've done a great service to our community, and they really appreciate the support from the funding. The Opioid Settlement Funds Advisory Committee determined that with just over about $400,000 in that pot of money and remaining funds, it would be beneficial to reach out to some select partners to invite grant applications for projects aligned within the scope of this settlement funds. So we received 3 back: Community Corrections, the Substance Abuse Center of Kansas, and Horizons. And today we are seeking approval for 2 of those: Horizons, which is $63,502 for a new direction education and prevention program. So it allows Horizons to really engage with the community, especially those that are just out of incarceration, to make sure they're moving down the right path. And then Community Corrections, so $15,000 for the creation of a care coordination and program provider position, which I know that we have someone else here to talk a little bit more about that. So I'm going to pass it off to Randy.
Good morning, Commissioners. Randy Regier, Director of Reno County Community Corrections. So I'll give you a little bit of information about what we're talking about here. So I know you're familiar with our program, but just for the people listening and others, so Community Corrections supervises the people that are most at risk to reoffend in our communities. That's a group that we supervise. So far this fiscal year, which started July 1st, we've had 124 people assigned specifically for a drug or alcohol-related offense. That's 72% of the people that have been assigned. So that doesn't even take into account the people that maybe have a theft, forgery, some other crime, but are addicted to substances. So the bulk of the people we serve are, substance abuse is an issue for them. Taking another direction at that, 35% of the people that have been assigned to us so far this fiscal year, at their first appointment with probation, they are positive for an illegal substance. So over a third of the people that walk into our door for the first time are positive at that point for an illegal substance. And they know they're coming to our office. So this isn't an issue, some of us will put on the nice shirt, right, to come in. Well, that's not the case here. We're looking at a group of people that are clearly addicted to substances. So a couple of issues that we're dealing with that kind of led us down this road were a lack of treatment options in the community. So it's taken our clients just too long to get into treatment services. Those treatment providers have a limited capacity, and then what results is groups that are large. And so when it takes too long to get into treatment, what we see with our clients is they continue to use substances, and often they stop reporting, which again just leads us down to the road of recidivism, leads us down the road of incarceration in our county jail, rising costs there. And then additionally, when groups are large with those facilities, clients just don't have enough time to really make progress when you have a large group. Another issue that we're dealing with were high caseloads for supervision officers. And this is kind of just a side issue, but it does affect what led us down this road. So when our officers have high caseloads, it's reduced time for direct services. They still have the same requirements for data entry and all those things. So it just limits the amount of time that they have for direct service. It's also less time to assist with the factors that interfere with treatment, things like housing and employment. So what we're seeking to do here is create a full-time position within community corrections. Again, they're going to have 2 primary roles. First, we'll talk about program provider. So the goal is to have them providing 4 groups per week, 2 for men, 2 for women. What they're going to be doing is teaching skills needed to gain and maintain sobriety to people with an identified substance abuse disorder that are at the highest risk to reoffend. So not only does community corrections supervise that highest risk population, we're going to really try to focus on the people within our population that are at the highest risk to reoffend according to assessments. One of the benefits to the community then is it reduces the pressure on community providers by taking and diverting some of those people off of their wait lists into some other services, and it increases the community's overall treatment capacity. Moving on to the care coordination portion. So one of the things that we know and that evidence has shown is that a person can't focus on substance abuse treatment if they don't have a place to live and they don't have food to eat. That's going to be their primary focus. If you can't meet your basic needs, that's where your time is focused. And so then trying to focus on things like improving your mental health or reducing your substance use is just really difficult. So what we want is this person to be very actively engaged in assisting with housing and employment, and then also engagement in treatment by removing barriers like transportation and things like that. So they're going to be focusing time on both mental health and substance abuse by helping those people get into services. That can be things as simple as transportation, filling out forms at Horizon so that they can more easily receive services there, and then also just things as simple as helping them fill out an application for employment or housing, and then getting them to interviews, getting them to the things that they need. So we want them very actively engaged. We don't want them sitting in the office when their time is focused on that. We want them out in the community, getting our clients to the services they need. So that's kind of a bit of a summary of kind of what brought us to where we're at and our plan. And I'm happy to stand for any questions at the appropriate time. Thank you.
Thank you. Yeah, they both kind of go together. We got into 7A and 7B at the same time. So let's take the first one, and there might be some questions, Randy, regarding things later on. So, okay. Regarding the Reno County City of Hutchinson Fights Addiction Fund Grant Program, would entertain a motion to approve the application as recommended by the Opioid Settlement Funds Advisory Oversight Committee for a total of $78,502. Any questions or a motion for that effect?
This is all the opioid money is where these funding's coming from?
Correct.
Correct. So it's all from that.
It's opioid fund money that was collected by the federal government, given back to the state, which they collected half and gave us the rest. Our share,
But this
according to
portion is
them.
not tied into the position.
So 15,000 of it would be part of the position. The opioid settlement funds would help
So,
fund.
but it's a $90-some thousand position I'm seeing here in the notes that I read, obviously. So how's that sustainable year over year?
Sure. So what our overall goal is to combine some opioid money, alcohol tax money, and Kansas Department of Corrections grant money. We don't have the grant funds from the Kansas Department of Corrections grant to fully fund this, and so we're really trying to get this program started with a combination of grants. We're also going to be reaching out to the city for alcohol money for next calendar year, and this is kind of the goal, is to get that ball rolling so that we can in the future absorb that within that community corrections grant from the
If
state.
that funding goes away in the future, where's it going to be funded from?
Our goal is to work on funding that fully through the Kansas Department of Corrections. That's our goal. Yeah.
We're not talking tax dollars, though, as such out of our budget.
Correct. You are hitting on a critical point, and I'll talk more about that on the alcohol tax, or I can talk about it now, but that's a very critical point. Like you mentioned, Commissioner Vincent, this is opioid money. This is money that the government has taken from the people that were selling the opiates and diverted that back into the community to provide treatment services. So this is money that we should just be eager to use. This is not like when we look at tax money, usually we're trying to say, hey, look, how do we save tax money? How do we cut spending? That should never be the case with this money. We should be eager to put that money out there, because what we're trying to use that money for is to help people in our community overcome addiction, and it's not coming directly out of the pockets of us, the people that live here in the community. So, yes, thank you.
I'm coming with Commissioner Parks is when this goes away, are you going to come to us and ask us for to subsidize this program?
I can't say for sure, to be quite honest. Our goal and what we've been doing through the Kansas Department of Corrections is we've been advocating for additional funding for for a number of years. Several years ago, we received some increases from the legislator that went through the Kansas Department of Corrections to community corrections across the state. We're continuing to advocate for those funding increases at that state level because, again, my philosophy, and I think the philosophy for community corrections across the state is this is something the state needs to be paying for. This is something that they mandate by statute. This is something the state should be paying for. So that's really where our primary source is. My philosophy is I really don't want to use Reno County taxpayer money for any of these services. I really believe that is money that should come from the state. And so that's going to continue to be our goal, and that's been our philosophy, and that's been what we've been doing over the last 4 or 5 years with the legislature, is really working with them to advocate for that additional funding. Our behavioral health grant money, which specifically would be the vein that we'd be looking at, is money that's state money passed through the Kansas Department of Corrections to community corrections agencies across the state. That money, just to give you a little reference, it's been at $3 million for about 12 years now. So this is money that we've been continuing to advocate with the legislators to increase, because what we see here is we see this gap. And as we all know, if we look back 10, 11, 12 years, inflation has just destroyed our buying power when it comes to those services. So that's what we're going to continue to do, is really focus on that Kansas Department of Corrections money, and we're going to continue to advocate at the state level for increases in that funding.
Yeah. I mean, that's right. I mean, I'm pretty easy spending somebody else's money, but when it comes to county money, I'm gonna, it's going to be a whole different story.
Yeah, I certainly agree, and I think that we really try to be mindful of that, because you do have a very important responsibility to try to cut spending and cut and keep those taxes low. And so we want to be very mindful of that. But that's why that's why we haven't come to the commission in the past asking for county dollars for these type of services. We want to really target that money that's specifically set aside by the state and by statute for these purposes, rather than trying to dip into county tax funding. Yeah.
Well, and so if in your program we're trying to get them to be a viable part of society, they either do that or they go to the county jail, and we're ended up paying for that also. We're ended up, as a county, we're paying for their stay in the county jail. So this way you're getting the money through grants, and I understand they could run out, but as of right now, there's money there. So if we can get people back on the straight and narrow and they become a viable part of society again, that's our goal. That should be the goal, and not putting them back in jail. So,
yeah.
So I understand, with wanting to be cautious, but, hopefully the grants stay coming in and we get the state to do their part like they're supposed to. I understand sometimes they're a little hard-headed up there, but we can hopefully, you guys can work on that when you're doing the applications for the grants.
Yeah, absolutely. I think you make just a great point. One of the things that we're seeing is there's some legislation that's sitting there currently that may get passed yet this week that's going to actually increase the costs for you and for the sheriff, because what they're seeking to do is increase bonds significantly for people that are on supervision who pick up a new crime. And so you're right. We need to be targeting this as front end as we can, using that money, because if we don't, what we know is going to happen, what the Kansas Sentencing Commission projects, is significant cost increases for the state and the county when it comes to housing these individuals. Because if we decide to move that pendulum towards punishment over treatment, well, it's just going to cost us all more as taxpayers, whether that's in state tax dollars or county dollars, as we have to really increase bed space at the Kansas Department of Corrections here in Hutchinson and within our own county jail. So yeah, these are critical issues that we really want to catch on the front end. Yeah.
This is if I understand right, this is an opportunity to use money that was collected from the opioid companies that you don't always get an opportunity to get. And if we can make some difference right now with some, and also with the use of, I presume that you are in collaboration with the drug court.
Correct, certainly. So the programs that we're going to be offering through this position, our drug court people will be accessing those services. Currently, we provide we actually provide 3 groups, 1 for men, 2 for women, using the curriculum that's called moral recognition therapy. And so we're providing that currently, but what we really want to do is be able to expand that into a curriculum called substance abuse program, and then an additional one called seeking safety, so that we can increase those services. And absolutely, those will be available to our drug court participants. Yeah.
It's a supplementation to the drug court.
Absolutely. So really, if we can provide as many services to these individuals as possible that are really going to target, because what we really want to target is criminal thinking. That's what's driving this. So even when we look at substance use, most of the time that's driven by criminal thinking, criminal associates, and just a criminal belief pattern. So those are the things that we're really trying to target with some of these services, because without criminal thinking and criminal friends, most people don't get into substance abuse and addiction on their own. It just doesn't happen. Usually they're introduced by friends, or it's a criminal thinking pattern that they have on their own. So those are the things we really want to target, so we can make sure that we're diverting them from further involvement in the criminal justice system. Yeah.
Thank you. Yeah, and if some of the commissioners haven't attended drug court, I would encourage you to go up and attend session with the drug court, because it's very enlightening, very educational. So, and I think I'll probably go back to my offer to request a motion, is since these 2 are together, if there's no objection, I think we'll ask for a motion to approve the application 7A and 7B by the Opioid Settlement Funds Advisory Oversight Committee.
Commissioner, it may be better to separate those 2.
We separate.
Completely separate sources of funding for minutes and everything.
Take a motion to approve the Reno County City of Hutchinson Fights Addiction Fund Grant Program for 2026 funding to Reno County Community Corrections for $15,000 and Horizons Mental Health Center for $63,502, as explained by our participants here.
I'll make that motion. Benji read it.
And I'll second it.
I can hand this over, Randy.
No, I see it.
It's been moved and seconded to approve this motion to approve the amount of $15,000 and $63,502. Roll call, please.
Commissioner Parks?
Yes.
Commissioner Vincent?
Yes.
Commissioner Winger?
Yes.
Commissioner Bogner?
Yes.
Commissioner Hurst?
Yes.
And one real, I guarantee you there's, in the state and even in this county and city, there are very few people that haven't had a family member or somebody that's been touched by drug abuse or violence or other forms of that type of abuse. So if you can, get them on the right track, that's what they need. And just I'm glad this program is available, and the community corrections are working on that also. So thank you very much.
Thank you.
I'll entertain if you want to comment more on the alcohol tax grant.
Yeah, just briefly. And again, this probably is more for other people's information than yours, but I just wanted to touch on the alcohol tax issue. So as Commissioner Vincent had brought up, this is not general fund tax dollars. This is not, that's not our goal here. So when we look at alcohol tax, what we're looking at is 10% of liquor drink tax is what's charged. So if a person goes to Applebee's or wherever, buys a $10 cocktail, $1 of that is going to go to alcohol tax. 70% of that, so 70 cents out of that $1, is going to be diverted back from the state to cities and counties for alcohol tax. Statutory requirements on that money is that it be used for substance abuse education, intervention, or treatment. It's under KSA 79-41A04. So this is money this is not general fund money. This is money that's diverted from the state when people buy alcohol, diverted back. And again, I won't go into all the details, but I think it's just important for people to understand that this is not like their general tax dollars that are getting used for some of these purposes. This is really that when people purchase alcohol, that money is diverted back to pay for these things. And so again, that's why I say it's just great to see these things get used. And again, what we're asking for is $20,000 in county alcohol tax, and then obviously the money for the opioid grant, and then the rest of that will be absorbed within our KDOC community corrections grant. So I just want to add that's for people's reference. So
Thank you.
thank you.
Has this grant money been allocated anywhere else or?
Commissioners, I have the fund for the 26 budget, the special alcohol and drug fund. This is the portion of the money that Randy Regier is mentioning. It's split back at the county. Part of it goes to the general fund, part of it goes to special alcohol and drug fund, and then special parks. So the special alcohol and drug fund, as you can see, the contractual services, the $10,000, $11,000, that's the drug court money. That's always been asked. But you can see that budget authority and cash, we have a little over $100,000 in that fund. The end of 24, $32,806 was brought in for this part of the alcohol tax. So there's significant funds for what Randy has requested. Can't happen forever, obviously, if we're getting $32,000 a year, if people continue to, or that revenue stays constant and drug court's $10,000, $11,000, that $20,000 is there, it's available.
It's sufficient.
And again, as Randy mentioned, it meets the criteria of the statute.
Very helpful information
Thank you.
to explain to people when they ask about it. But it's a separate item by itself to go towards the needs. Take a motion to approve the Community Corrections County Alcohol Tax Grant request for $20,000 to add a full-time care coordinator, program provider position. Don, you make that motion?
I would make that motion.
Is there a second?
I'll second it.
Richard seconds. More discussion? Roll call, please.
Commissioner Parks,
Yes.
Commissioner Vincent,
Yes.
Commissioner Winger,
Yes.
Commissioner Bogner,
Yes.
Commissioner Hurst.
Yes. Thank you,
Thank-
Randy.
thank you,
for
Commissioner.
your explanation.
Thank you.
And Candace, too. Okay, next on the item is the Aging and Public Transportation Department Annual Reports. Morning.
Morning, Commissioners. Candace Bonison with the Department of Aging and Public Transportation. I'm here this morning to present to you a recommendation for our fare structure. We're talking about our annual report. I've got a couple things here, so I do apologize. Okay, so we're talking about our annual report that I missed in January, so I apologize for that. I was a little ill, under the weather. So I'm here today to share with you what we've done, where we're at with Department on Aging, and what we see here in the future. So with what you read here is our departmental background, everything that we have within our department as far as budgetaries, who our staff members are. We currently have 2 staffing that are full-time, and then the 3 positions that we have support both the aging and the public transportation department, which includes my position, our assistant director, and our assistant financial director. So in and all, we provide information, outreach, and referral, and a lot of that encompasses the SHIC program that we provide, which is basically your Medicare and Medicare information, supplemental information. It's when we do all of our Part D open enrollment as free services to any individual that needs support. It's all an unbiased service, and it's for the individual to know what their resources are available to them and to make those informed decisions. So over this last year in 2025, we served over 2,867 individuals. That was both older adults, caregivers, and any persons that was interested in assisting somebody with needing for and looking for services. Aging awarded 9 of our senior centers that had sought for some funding to help supplement their organizations as they continue to support older adults in their communities. And then we've also supplemented 5 agencies over the last year. This year it's 4, but we currently do that based on the priorities of what aging encompasses, whether that be health, nutrition, other kinds of supplemental needs that older adults may need in that respect, and then housing needs. So a lot of that, like through the interfaith community services, where they will go out and assess somebody's home. We supplement a portion of that, and then they report those numbers to us in telling what they provided for that individual, whether that's grab bars for their bathrooms, something that will help mitigate for them to stay independent and remain in their homes rather than having to become a person that's eligible for institutionalization. So the whole purpose of the Department on Aging is to, and goal-wise and mission is to keep persons in the community, a viable individual that is not reliant on services that would then become long care term costs that we all pay for. So in that, we have and work with partnership with volunteer services in the center with the RSVP group. They do a lot of the shopping items for individuals and that have challenges with being able to mobilize themselves as well. And then we also work with the RSVP group that bring volunteers during our open enrollment that also assists they're trained through the SHIC program. So through that, our numbers did increase this last year. We assisted over 100 more individuals that sought our services to assist them with the best opportunities for their premiums for Medicare Part D. So as a part of our department, we are combined with the Public Transit Department. Originally, transportation was a program of the Department of Aging. Through those years, it was then identified that it would best have a separate department for just the public transportation component. So it stayed all within the one fund for aging, and it also created it as a public transit department. So you'll see that in the diagram that is secondary there, and it kind of shares where all of our staffing is and how that is allocated. We do receive grants for transportation, and so I'll move on into transportation as part of our programming. Originally with it did start out, like I said, with the Department on Aging. As an Older Americans Act, we were able to purchase vehicles. At one time, we were called the Golden Express. And as you know, it's been 50 years that we've been in the community in some capacity providing transportation. So we're very fortunate and thankful to the commissions, past and current, of all of your support for transportation to be available for the community, multiple communities within Reno County, and reaching the numbers that are far and above what many other agencies with the same funding that they receive. We are in the top 3% of those that perform with the highest numbers of ridership for our community, and we just service our community. Some other agencies tend to go over different lines and support multiple individuals and still not have the numbers that we do. So we know that it's a need, and we know that we're happy to be here to be able to do that. We've had a couple exciting things happen for our services. Our highlights being that we've been able to initiate new year moving through with our logoing process, getting new vehicles through the KDOT Accessible Innovation and Coordination Grant, the AIC grant. And so we've been able to be a pilot to test out some new types of vehicles that are more accessible to any individual that can easily step into them without having to go up steps for vehicles or having to utilize a lift to get into them. So we're excited about that. They've been on the road here for now a little less than a year, and we've had pretty good feedback on them. I know that you've had an opportunity to come by and look at them during December when you all joined us for that day in our open house and everything. We've also were last year named the Transit Service of the Year, so that was very exciting for us. We've not had that recognition, so this is the first of hopefully many that will get an opportunity to perform and continue through our ploy to support and continue providing services to all of the individuals within Reno County. Reno County has a big impact when it comes to the transportation, as you've kind of heard from previous individuals speaking this day about transportation and their needs and getting access to transportation. So we're very happy to be here to do partnerships in all of that measure and to continue to support the individuals here. And it's not just the ones that live here alone. When we have visitors, they know how to access us through these times and stuff. We have a lot of international individuals. That's also been a big key part of why we did look at what our branding was. They now know and can tell what is public transportation versus other services that are out there for persons that only serve disabilities or elderly alone. So we've been doing this, and a lot of that with that tagging and letting individuals know who we are to get them excited about transportation again, letting them learn about what's happening here. A lot of that is, getting that riding and vibing, get up and go. Any place in Reno will take you where you'd like to go. That rain, sunshine, wind, or snow, ride our cat. That's our cheer. And then I'd just like to also share a little bit more about that with transportation. And we get this throughout the year, people thanking us for services and stuff, but a couple of things that I'd like to share that we received from the Christmas period time and stuff was in 2025, this individual wished our drivers and staff a wonderful year. And then for her, it said, "For me, because of the freedom you gave me to travel all over town." It gave her, an individual, an opportunity to just need to go and do and be as independent as she could. Additionally, to everyone at RCAP Bus, very grateful for everything you do and have done for us throughout the years. And another one that shared, "Thanks for all the hard work you all do." So that's very helpful and gracious to all of the drivers that are out there on front line. For some, this is their only access to any services, their regular needs, getting groceries, meeting their medical appointments. So, and it may be the only time that they get to socialize. So we're very thankful for your support through the years, and look forward to many more years to be able to do so in providing this service. And the numbers continue to increase as we are out there doing services and things have settled down a little bit more post-pandemic. So I would entertain any questions if anybody has any.
One to start with. What are you doing to allow Nickerson, Haven, Pretty Prairie, Sylvia, Turon, Bueller know how to get a hold of you and what you offer? How are you letting them know? I hear that we don't know anything about it, or we can't. So what are you doing to allow people outside of Hutchinson?
In coordination with also our Department of Aging, they will be going out to doing with the senior centers. We will also reach out to all of the cities. I've done that in past with the organization I had come from. And so we will be promoting a lot more with the information. We wanted to get through this branding piece so that we had that piece to be able to share that in our statement to go along with it. So we will be doing all of that we can to reach out to individuals. We're publicly seen. That's the thing. We are seen regularly. And so we hope that that on itself helps a little bit. But we're working with Sandra in looking at what other types of way to reach out to individuals. We're in the rural messenger when we advertise, and that's been an ongoing thing as part of our requirements for the grant that we received through the pass-through through KDOT. And so we're trying to find every measure that we can. We've done surveys to identify if people, where they've heard us from, where do they best know us from. And a lot of times it's generally word of mouth, friends and family, or the Reno County website. And so we've tried radio, and that didn't have any impact as far as I understand, even from the survey. And then looking at the demographics, those that tend to want to provide the survey are the persons that are 65 and older. We did get some younger involvement, but a lot of the times that's utilizations through the college services and stuff. We do have some young age children that may use it for school to get to and from, or if they need to leave early for some of those purposes, they've used it for that piece as well.
I know since we sponsor, we assist through you and through the county, senior centers. Might be an awful good opportunity rather than just city councils. Because they have a regular schedule that they meet.
Okay.
And, I read their meetings and what they do at Sylvia and Turon and other places. And when they meet and what they have going on. And I'm sure they would and love to have someone come up and explain to them when they have their senior center
That'd be great.
programs.
I know that
So might
we will
consider
be.
looking at that. Okay, just a thought.
Yes, sir. So we are also going to be participating in the emancipation group April 9th and providing information on our services through that as well.
Well, and I mean, Ron, I understand some people might say I'm having trouble finding RCAT, but I just Googled it. And I know my stepdad is 91 and he has a phone and he knows how to Google stuff. And so you can, and if you Google it, it brings up the site and it talks about, all the different services that are provided, fixed routes, if you need a doctor visit route, to go to the doctor and all those different things. It's all key features and other things are in this and when you Google it. So, I'm hoping, he's right. We can maybe have some signs hung at some of the assisted living places with the routes maybe or other information to get a hold of you. But I just know in this day and age, even with the older generation, most of them have figured out how to use a smartphone to the point where they can get some information. So, but yeah, it would be nice to have it everywhere. But with that information, I think we're working at getting better at communication with the public.
And we're happy to deliver that in any format that they'd like to see, whether that be flyers, whether that's, because we've also done like the QR coding, so that'll take you, boom, directly to the website for that information, social medias. So there's a lot of different things that we're working at. We've also just, with the fact that with the rebranding and that update, we are now being seen pretty heavily right now. It took effect this March to be on the LED bulletins that you see out on the roads, the 4 major ones, so that it's letting people know, ride our cat. here's our information, find us on social media, and our tagline, ride and vibe and get up and go.
And you do have a phone number too, right?
We do. It's absolutely on there.
Nothing like, I appreciate it. It's all on technical things, the phones and so forth, but people still appreciate hearing directly.
Yes.
Thank you. Any other questions? Any thought? I would entertain a motion to approve the recommendation by the Reno County Public Transportation Commission and KDOT to update Reno County Public Transportation Department's Reno County Area Transit,
We haven't heard that yet.
all of that, fares and fare structure.
We haven't heard anything from that yet, though, have we?
The item that Candace was going to explain here.
Yes. Well, Candace Bonison, Director of Department of Aging and Public Transportation. We are currently in this new phase and transition. This actually comes from a rescinded comment from the Federal Transit Administration, where we certainly had a structure at this present time that has multiple layers to it. And with this rescission of requirement of the half fares, we are taking it even further to that we're streamlining all fares with our services. Currently, there's multiple structures for the various services that we do have, because there are multiple services that individuals would utilize for our transportation. We have a fixed route, which has a complimentary paratransit, which is an ADA requirement. And then we also have our demand response that services the individuals in Hutchinson, South Hutchinson, and on Saturdays for Hutchinson, South Hutchinson. And then we have our county trips, which services every community within Reno County out in the outlining areas. So that is a service that anybody can obtain. However, our fare structures are based on age, disabilities, are they children, are they students? So there's multiple layers to that when they had this half fare structure piece to it. What we have come to now with this creating the fare structure and getting that approval through KDOT and then with the Public Transit Commission was to streamline everything that's going with fares, and we make it fair for all. That's the purpose of general public transportation, is that it is consistent and equal for all ridership. So what this would entail is that our ridership for fixed route, the $1 fare for individuals that were 19 years of age to 59, then you had the 60 and older, and then you had students and everything, and theirs was all 50 cents. To equalize this and to make this equal for everybody, as a general public transportation, we're doing a flat fare fee. That means for every time that you ride, every individual would be paying that exact same fare, which is 50 cents for a fixed route. With that, then our paratransit, it's just $1. And then for our demand response, which is a little more premium because you don't have to, you can be picked up directly from your home and taken directly to a destination. That would be a $2 fare. And then for our county trips, it used to be as high as $8 one way. And thinking about the economy, inflation, the costs, and what's important, we're just going to drop it completely down for everybody for that half fare rate that used to be that $4. It's now $4. And so we're hoping that will not only garner additional ridership, but that will make it economical, affordable, and they know that the service that they're getting is safe, friendly, and accessible. So then we only have to worry about the 4 main fares and nothing else that delineates as to why they're half fare or because they have a disability or they're older adults. It's flat. It's one fare for all.
So, go ahead.
It's, I guess in my mind, your fares, wherever you set them, aren't covering the cost, correct?
It will never cover the full
That's what I
cost of
thought.
transportation and its capacity.
That's what I thought. Now, you're filling in that gap with what, a lot of grants I see coming through.
We do
in
have
there.
grants. There's a couple things that we're going to be talking about, looking at supplemental from other city governments we'd like to seek as the support that we would like to have for them as a partnership. But what generally, when you do that, then that is offsetting your costs of whatever fares. If you think you're going to lose it, what happens generally is when you set these fares at an equal amount for everybody that's performing or riding with the ridership, you tend to have ridership go up a little bit more. So what
So
you
the
were
bus is
offsetting,
full,
yes,
partially full.
yes.
But there are certain amount of tax funds involved in this.
There is, yes, there's a match in which Reno County supports with the 20%. And then what KDOT and the Federal Transit Administration provides, that's where our grant largely comes from for our operations and capital and administration.
So when you say there's no fiscal impact to the budget, you're
Correct.
anticipating increased ridership?
We
To make
do.
that difference up?
We do, absolutely. Now, in the past 2 years, the first year that I came on, we saw an increase by 10%. This last year it was 1%. But as we continue growing and people are hearing more about us and finding that vibe that is more accessible, because I think a lot of the connotation when people would see buses is more derived to, oh, that's for persons with disability. Oh, that's for persons that are older. It's not services that are just readily available. And again, we're here, we're covering a lot of ground, and we're definitely doing the services. Transportation is out there, and we're trying to get people to recognize that. And we also know that people talk about gaps as transportation. By and large, we are here providing the services and doing the work. So we really want to let everybody know that.
Thank you.
Randy, do we, this is a yearly, if this is passed to do the fare cuts, can we review that if the budgets don't work out?
I think, yeah, you could then request Candace to come back and look at the rates.
That's what I'm concerned with. More questions, comments, thoughts?
Motion?
Pardon?
So we're looking for a motion?
Yeah, I'm ready.
How about a motion
Approve
to,
the recommendation.
recommendation to approve as stated in what, 7C and D?
I'll second that.
It's been moved and seconded to approve the recommendation by the Reno County Public Transportation Commission and KDOT to update their transportation department's fares and rate structure. Any more questions? Thought? Okay. Roll call, please.
Commissioner Parks,
Yes.
Commissioner Vincent,
Yes.
Commissioner Winger,
Yes.
Commissioner Bogner,
Yes.
Commissioner Hurst.
Yes.
Thank you, commissioners.
Okay, thank you. Next on the agenda is Timothy McClatchy with the Director of IT and Michelle Updegrove, Register of Deeds, regarding some updating.
Morning, Commissioners. So, as you said, Tim McClatchy, Director of IT with Michelle Updegrove, Register of Deeds. We're here to talk about a request for deeds redaction. Just a little bit of background information. What we're attempting to do is expand digital access to deeds so that not every researcher or title company or public resident need to actually come into the office to open the big books and go through things. They can just go online and see the information. with a subscription fee potentially to build revenue. But the issue with that is we can't neatly put some of that information out there because it does contain PII, Social Security numbers used on mortgages and whatever else. So we do need to redact that information. There's about 250,000 documents that we've identified would have that information on it. We're estimating about 2 pages per document, so about 500,000 pages that need to be reviewed. And so in order to kind of do this feasibly, we put out a request for proposals to investigate that. We had several come back and we trimmed it down to kind of the 4 cheapest, I'd say cheapest, least expensive proposals. And the one that we kind of stuck with was Extract Systems, who were offering 12 cents per page. It would be paid out of the Register of Deeds Tech Fund. And so that's kind of the long and short of it. We do anticipate there might be additional documents outside of those 250,000 that come up later that either are misindexed or older scans or were pulled from legacy systems. Those would be, when they're identified, manually redacted in-house. So it's just a one-time fee to get this out there and then begin indexing so that we can really take advantage of the features that the new Tyler software the Deeds Office has. So from the IT perspective, this is a necessary step to enable that safe expansion to the access of the subscription. And we did, for the process, we did kind of a cross-department committee where we reviewed them entirely, and as you can see on the screen, kind of rated them based on what each of us, where each of us kind of scored that. So Michelle can speak more to the operational need and impact and fiscal implications of it, but do you have any questions for me or her or anything else I can better explain?
Questions?
Yeah, as I get older, my math skills become slower. I'd already had it figured in my head years ago what the total cost is. Put the decimal point in the right place. I know it's 12% or 12 cents.
Right.
It's real close to 10. Give us a total number.
$60,000 is what it would come to.
Yeah, I knew.
And the funds are there because of our
This is the Register of Deeds, their
technological
technology fund that she collects as part of a statute, the recording fees, or how that works, Michelle.
Yeah, so this project is exactly what the technology fund is supposed to be used for, is preserving records through technology. This project is about 3 things. It's protecting personal information, improving public access, and creating a new revenue stream for the county without using taxpayer dollars. This is the redaction portion of this project is a very critical step forward towards that. We can't put simply put, we can't responsibly put the records online for public access, even through subscription, without this redaction. And that's what Extract Systems is providing us. What's great about Extract is they have, this vendor has worked with over 500 government organizations across 43 states. 30 of their projects were ROD redaction projects specifically. So they aren't new to this. They specialize in government records just like ours. And they've handled projects that are much larger than what we're throwing at them. And so our project is well within their capacity. And their accuracy rate is expected to meet between, I think it's 92 to 95%, I believe. So That's really the best quality. It's the best bang for your buck, really.
Should any information get out after this redaction process, who's liable? Do they carry insurance or anything that, because we are buying their services and it's supposed to clean all this up, who ends up footing the bill if it's not done correctly? Does it fall back on us, or does this vendor have insurance to cover their work?
So this vendor does offer a 1-year threshold of, if we do find any documents that are not redacted or ones that were missed, they'll go back and fix those at no additional cost. I think the CORA Act does protect us to a certain extent in this, because everything that's filed in my office is public record. So we aren't technically bound by law to redact anything that is public record. This is really just protecting our public citizens' interests as we're modernizing these records. That's how I understand it through our Register of Deeds Association attorney and our former county attorney as well.
Well, it was just struck me that
No, that's a good concern.
mean,
it's a good question.
we've all been hacked so darn many times it probably doesn't make any difference anyway. You get a new note 2-3 times a year, somebody's lost your information. If you're doing much at all.
Yeah.
So, but I did want to make sure the county wasn't going to end up footing the bill for something. And like you say, if it is public information right now, anybody can go down and look at it physically. I can't see, in my mind, I can't see where we can be held accountable.
Right.
What's your thought?
Well, I agree. It's public information. That what this does is make it such that somebody from some country somewhere can't access the information of the people here in Reno County digitally or online. If they want to see it, they can fly here to Reno County and go down to the courthouse, and then they'll have to go through each of those documents individually.
And also, for extract, this is all U.S. based contracted. They are not using people from outside of the country to work this redaction project. And everyone that is working the redaction project for extract has been vetted by FBI, CGIS, background checks. It's a pretty secure, tight circle who will be handling these documents for this project.
Thank you. The explanation there on the legal issues and also the funding issues, seeing as how it's funded by the people who are using it and benefiting from it, not the general public. When you're ready for a motion, I'll make one.
I was going to say I appreciate that. Would have been my comments asked, and I just want to say thanks for jumping in there and doing this. I think people expect us to do that in this day and age, try to protect their records, and so I appreciate you trying to do that as well. So thank you.
I'd like to say this was really a combined effort between Tim's office and mine. He was so instrumental with this RFP and finding these companies to come forward and offer their services. I wouldn't have known how to do that, and I can tell both our offices are committed to getting the best outcome for this project and for our citizens. And
I think we appreciate the information we have here on how well how the process went through and how you researched it. So I think that was very helpful in scoring. And so Don was ready to make a motion.
Yeah, and before I do, the cooperation again shows up that we have here in this county, and that's appreciated that you work together. And with that, and my question satisfied, I would make a motion to accept the proposal from the stated companies that to do the redaction process for our county.
All right, is there a second?
I'll second that.
Been moved and seconded to approve the extract system as recommended by the. All right, any discussion? Roll call?
Commissioner Parks,
Yes.
Commissioner Vincent,
Yes.
Commissioner Winger,
Yes.
Commissioner Bogner,
Yes.
Commissioner Hurst.
Yes. Thank you.
Thank you.
Tim. Michelle. Tim, I guess you're up along with the sheriff's department now.
Yeah, I'm still here. I have Sheriff Campbell and Captain Lutz here with me. So this one, it's about replacing the body cams and car cams for the sheriff's office. It's kind of a full replacement of the sheriff's camera systems and evidence system. Not necessarily just the equipment, but it is body cams, in-car cameras, and evidence management. The current processes that they undertake, it's been voiced by our previous county counselor, our district attorney's office. There's a lot of manual processes and steps in that. And what this is going to do is move it to a centralized evidence platform. And the recommendation to go with Motorola is primarily because, one, they do have a pretty good reputation in the public safety system or sector, and they are a fully integrated system. And so initially, when I wrote the proposal, the cost was $360,252.76, but Sheriff's Office chipped away a little bit more on that in the meantime. So it's actually about $346,000 now, $396,396.01, cutting another nearly $14,000 out of that. We're looking to get this kind of approved to move forward, and for the funding, about $53,000 would come from commissary funds because that equipment directly would be used in the jail. With the initial balance, I have to redo the math, but about $157,000 would come from capital equipment. And what that is from is we had budgeted for a upgrade to the public safety software this year, but that's being deferred to 2028 because as we move forward to do that, it came in much higher than what they quoted 2 years ago. And so we do have some, I don't want to call it extra funds, but available funds there for that this year. And then $150,000 would come from capital equipment reserve fund. I do know that additional grants are being explored to try to help offset some of that, but I don't know for sure if that's going to be for sure or not. But this would improve staff time, manual handling, and technical limitations of the Sheriff's Office current processes. And they're here to talk about the operational needs and field impact. But if you have any questions for me on that one or them, I'm happy to answer whatever I can.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you, Tim.
So I appreciate Tim presenting this. He came up with the funding out of the project that he mentioned. We're looking at replacing our current system. Unfortunately, the days when a deputy's testimony alone was sufficient to get a conviction have come and gone. So we have had body cams and in-car cameras for quite a while. We've always used a standalone system of our own, but the company that we currently have and the platform we went to years ago is now starting to fail. In looking at purchasing or replacing or updating our equipment is when Captain Lutz started looking at 4 different companies that had a decent history when we decided to select with Motorola Solutions. to purchase 23 in-car cameras, which are integrated with 43 body-worn cameras. That will go across the full enterprise of the sheriff's office, as far as in the jail, in the courthouse, and in patrol. These will put these platforms and make it a lot more efficient for us to send that live feed into a cloud and a link to the district attorney's office for prosecution without having to have the systems in place and people to burn CDs and then put them in and they don't work and then have to go research and download into our own data. Included in this cost is the 5-year cost for this. One of the largest things when we started going into body-worn cams, in-car cameras, and you start, even our camera systems here, you start putting it on a server, you add the video, then you do the audio, and you start taking up a lot of data space. So in that cost is unlimited data with Motorola to store our videos. Under Cora, the records retention, there are specific videos, especially like if it's a felony arrest, it has to be kept forever. We can't get rid of that stuff. So that being included in the cost and the discounts that Motorola has given us has by far given us a great deal when we start looking at the other companies across the spectrum. Barring any questions.
Well, I know for a fact that without these cams, if somebody wants to sue you for false arrest or anything else, you can easily get over $100,000 settlement or $200,000, whatever their attorneys try to get, and whatever the county would have to settle for, it could be a pretty good chunk of money. So I really think the cameras are well spent money for the vehicles and the body armor.
Yes, sir.
Other comments, questions? Would entertain a motion to approve the purchase and authorize the IT director to complete that acquisition.
I will.
Subject to any required legal review and a total cost not to exceed $360,252.76. Since we're at that, correct?
I will motion that to purchase the body-worn cameras and in-car cameras for the sheriff's department.
I second.
Questions, discussion? If none, roll call, please.
Commissioner Parks?
Yes.
Commissioner Vincent?
Yes.
Commissioner Winger?
Yes.
Commissioner Bogner?
Yes.
Commissioner Hurst?
Yes.
Thank you, Commissioners.
Now to the Public Works Annual Report. Dawn, getting to you now. Thanks.
Good morning, Commissioners. I'm here for the Public Works Annual Report. I wrote it all out for you. It's not very long, but there's a lot of context in it. So I'm here to answer any questions you have about this report, or I'll answer anything that you ask me beyond this report. Is there any questions?
I have none. It's comments. It's nice to run over the roads, the county roads now.
Thank you.
I did have the opportunity the other evening to drive that stretch coming out of town to 50 Highway that we had a complaint about the markings. And looks like you tried out your new truck. I could sure see the markings.
Yeah, the only reason those markings wasn't there is because we didn't have a truck. And as soon as we got it, they're there. Yes. So this year we'll probably paint 100 miles. That's what the plan is every year. So.
Got a faster truck.
Huh?
Got a faster truck?
No, you only paint about 7 miles an hour.
Quality over fast.
Well, sounds like things are coming along.
All right. Well, thank you.
Thank you, Don. All right, County Commission reports. Richard, you want to start these off?
Well, I didn't have a lot, but I did. So I did Third Thursday downtown last week, and I had I help out at the Toy Depot just to kind of be there. It's just kind of fun for me. But I had a couple come in, and we were talking about love where you live, and we did a thing for Superior Boiler Works, and there was a couple in there, and they were looking with their children, and the mom said, "Yeah, we just moved here from Las Vegas." And I said, "Oh, so what brought you to Hutch?" And her husband is one of the hires for Superior Boiler Works as an engineer. And they were excited to be in Hutch. They moved from Las Vegas. They were excited. They found a house, and they were able to get a bigger house from what they had in Las Vegas. Even though I know people think our taxes are high, if you check around the United States, you'll find that, in most cases we aren't one of the highest places to live, and they were excited about that. They loved the community, and they were enjoying Third Thursday. So it was just fun to get to visit with them a little bit and find out, that they had come here from Las Vegas. I was just at a game last night at the sports arena for the tournament, and it's fun to see this community in an outreach format welcoming teams from all over the country, and the people that volunteer there know. She talked about Department of Aging and the volunteer centers and stuff like that. And so if you live in this community and you have a giving heart and you want to volunteer, I would recommend that highly. But anyway, I just had some uplifting experiences this last couple weeks, so I just wanted to pass that on and let you know that this love where you live and some of these things are working, because we are getting some new people to move here, so it's kind of cool.
Don?
Oh, couple little things. I went to the ribbon cutting, or the check presentation down there on the fairgrounds. I guess most of us don't realize what we have in our own backyard, but it was a restoration project for the old mill ride. It's one of 3 such rides in the United States, and it's been there since 1915. And
What
it was
like when it opened up first?
probably pretty much like it is now.
I'm just giving you a hard time. I'm sorry.
But anyway, I did attend that and have attended a few other things. Otherwise, been getting some calls pretty regularly from quite a few people that live near the new sewer project we're having to go through, and worried about placement. It's my understanding we're not don't have an exact location yet, but we know we're going to need it, and it's in the works. I would just encourage everybody involved to take your neighbors into consideration and how that you would feel if it was in front of your house. That's a good neighbor policy. The other end of it is what's good for Reno County itself. We've got a nice piece of land out there. I sometimes, to get things in my head, I need to drive out and physically look at things, and it's a mile off my destination to come here, so I did. You won't find a better present facility in the way it's maintained. Good facility. Behind a row of trees, nobody really knows it's there. It's the perfect kind of deal. Siding in the future. I don't know the particulars on engineering or where it might have to go for it, but being selfish and being an old landowner all my life, it would be nice if we could utilize parts of our property that are less attractive to development. In other words, not up by the paved roads. The higher value properties within that property we own are up against those paved roads. And the utilization of those properties, we may need those as a county for later development, or I'm assuming that that area out there is still considered a development, industrial development area for, even though we got two newer ones, there are spaces out there that could be utilized and the infrastructure is already there. So the location of where you might put these new lagoons, we need to take some things into consideration because we want to maintain the value of the property we own by where we place it on our own property, if we've got a choice. We may not have a choice in engineering. Thank you.
Commissioner, I might point out a couple of years ago, we purchased a piece of ground out there for this very reason. Had
Yes.
town halls and everything, and so that's where the current location will go. Don could probably give us a closer public view of where that land's situated. I've been out by that, but I mean, it was already established a few years ago, so.
Yeah.
That we were gonna go there, but I mean, we're at this point, we're not gonna move it, so.
And
Well,
Commissioners,
we're not going to move where it is, but we can move it within the bounds of our own property.
yeah, Commissioners, for that, the current lagoon for the Habit sewer project, we bought land adjacent to where it's already at, so we own more of that property. And I'm assuming the engineering, the design is going to be somewhere, well, it will be on that property, just not sure if it's closer to the roads or further south on that property, but it's
what
still
I-
the same property.
Yeah.
It'll just be where the lagoons are at, just moved probably a little bit west and a little bit south of that.
Yeah.
Don, does the state dictate that a little bit too, and the setbacks and different things as far as how big? If you don't mind, just so the public understands.
Yes, there's state setbacks on where the lagoon water edge is and private property, or to a house, yes. And the property we bought is where the new lagoons are going, and, yeah.
Thanks for clarifying that. I had a lot of questions from people, and I told them I'd bring it up, and you've clarified that there are rules and regulations, and like I told them, as far as I knew, there were. And so we're going forward.
Yeah,
the way-
I had one phone call a couple of weeks ago about a guy across the street from it, didn't like it, and I explained to him what was going on, and it's been going on for years, and now it's happening, and it's in design, and we hope to send it out for bids this summer, so we're trying to correct Yoder Sewer District and the Habit Sewer District by joining them, and that's what's best for the whole community, and we're moving forward.
Randy, you want to go ahead?
Sure. I don't have a lot. we're going to set another town hall up, Mr. Blank and myself at the Highlands. I may want you to be in attendance as well. There's some other issues to address up there as well that I think would be a good setting to do that in. And so I've had a lot of questions from that place, specifically of tax and appraisal, and I just think it'd be a good thing to do. And so I talked to the former mayor up there this morning, and we'll try to get something set up as far as the time. Probably be in the evening upstairs at the club, so anyway.
Ron?
Not much, me. Still getting the emails, contacts about the battery storage, data centers. I'm going, the other thing is get a few calls about some sites that are gets junked up. Take the burnt down house at Medora. But as far as I know, we have no ordinance against that, and there's nothing we can do. I guess I mentioned to them that they that should be an issue for planning and zoning and the planning and zoning board, correct? Okay, so that's kind of I'm heading in your direction, Mark.
Okay, thank you. Want to mention the retirement for Corey Graber. That's coming up here on this Friday, March 27th. He's had over 29 years, the Reno County Sheriff's Office, and having the retirement get together. So if you can make it, very appreciate it. The other thing is to mark that April 14th. You've got a flyer here with the Love Where You Live program that we've been working at with the Community Foundation. And there'll be several people there that will be able to do some input, and primarily hope you all take it back to your local communities so that they know about it, and give them a call and let them know. This is kind of the basic agenda that was put together, and there'll be opportunities to talk about grants and administration of grants, as well as any other small economic development processes and people there to talk about opportunities. And I hope everybody can make that, and we'll take this back and give to the proper people, the cities that you represent. So looking forward to that. And with that, I'm going to
follow up on that.
Yes.
We've got the flyer here. Are the people here making sure that the cities have this same information that we have, or do we need to?
We will send this out. I received this yesterday on an email from the Community Foundation, this agenda. I'll work with Sandra. We'll get it to the cities and post it. It's 6 p.m. Again, as Commissioner Hurst mentioned, Tuesday, April 14th at 6 p.m. at the Hutchinson Art Center. Probably be about an hour and a half. And that we'll also put out a public notice, because we expect all 5 of commissioners to be there, or we'll definitely have a majority if one of you are unable to be there. So that is a county commission type of meeting, but it is a community meeting and we will invite all the cities. Some of them have already had the data from Community Foundation of Love Where You Live that was specific for their city, but this one is more the county, but some of the smaller communities or even the larger communities are going to be invited and welcome to attend.
Thanks for clarifying that, because earlier they didn't know the location till just recent.
And I will turn this over now to Randy to talk about his administrator's report. And we've had some discussion that he's going to get into that has to do with industry development.
First, I'll start with kind of what I have every meeting is monthly reports, to see if there's any questions in the packet or reports for communications, the district attorney, information technology, public works, solid waste, the treasurer's office, and youth services. Any questions on anything in their reports? The other items I have, I do want to mention as I'm trying to put together that special parks committee to look at the grant applications, I think I've only had 2 names from commissioners. So if you have someone, or if not, I can just create a committee. I would like to review the applications from, I think, 3 or 4 cities that have applied for the special parks. Going back to the earlier part of the meeting, that's 1/3 of the alcohol money. You made decisions on some of the money for substance abuse or treatment. 1/3 of that is also supposed to go to parks and recreation activities. So we do have grants, and I want to get a committee together and bring that to the commission at one of the meetings in April for recommendation. Then we mentioned the events. And I put it in my weekly report to the commission last week, just so you guys would be aware that Commissioner Hurst and I had a conversation last week about putting together a committee or a task force related to economic development activities. It kind of has two directions with this. There may be part of this committee that looks at internal policies, economic development initiatives, incentives, because as was brought up at recent meetings with the job performance policy, you guys may want some changes. There's other incentive policies I want to look at with the committee to go over how we make this better for Reno County and businesses that are looking to come here, and would probably want to also talk with some of, maybe a couple of our cities to include them. What Commissioner Hurst and I talked about was having a standing committee that consisted of the county commission chair, an additional county commissioner that's willing to serve, myself, the county counselor, someone from the Hutchinson-Reno County Chamber, and then others in the community, depending on the topics, which would probably include whether it's a business person or city council members from Hutchinson or South Hutchinson, depending on the topic. One of the topics we did discuss and got brought up earlier today was looking at expectations for data centers or battery storage systems that may be looking at coming to Reno County. We would only have input on the unincorporated parts of Reno County, and I guess, quite frankly, the zoned parts of Reno County that are in the unincorporated areas, which only includes about a third of the county. But to include maybe the city of Hutchinson, city of South Hutchinson, we could maybe have similar expectations for data centers or battery storage systems. So that's kind of what we're looking at right now. And Mark or Dawn, feel free to jump in if I go down the wrong path here. With the conditional use permit processing, or what's in place, there are somewhat of guidelines for if someone wanted a battery storage system or a data center. We have stuff in place to where they at least have to get a conditional use permit. And at that point in the planning department, then the planner, well, Mark and the planning commission could put together, here are the guidelines, here are what you have to do if you want a permit. If we have expectations that we could give the planning commission or to give Don and Mark, and I want you to be a part of those conversations anyways, then we would be, I think, a step ahead without having full-blown regulations for data centers. The sizes of data centers, if they're small, they may already be in existence. Well, they are in existence. They may be in office buildings we don't even know about, but a lot of times with planning, if you're talking about the mega scale, the hyper scale, those are completely different than something that may be a 5 megawatt data center compared to a 100 megawatt data center. So we wanted to put together this task force to kind of talk, so the couple of the governing bodies and some staff could have conversations about what those expectations might be. We thought that would be a more streamlined way to get guidelines and regulations that are not planning regulations, but expectations of the governing body in place in a more, or in a quicker manner that doesn't tie us to having a zoning planning regulations that basically open it up. Once you have those set, then it opens it up to anything, and then you don't have as much leverage.
That's right.
On a case-by-case basis. Is that kind of right? Thank you. So that's kind of what we were talking about, wanting to put that together. If you guys are okay with that, Commissioner Hurst and I will move forward with that. But I would ask if a commissioner wanted to sit in on that task force.
So this came about because we thought the cities and the county ought to have as close together suggestions for these industry developments that are going to come about as we can. Yeah, because they might be right across the road from each other. You can't tell.
I was going to say, quite honestly, if you're talking data centers, we're probably not going to have a hand in much of that anyway. They're going to have to be next to resources in the city where they can get water, and you're not going to get that in the county. So, I mean, quite frankly, they're probably going to be a city planning commission working on that before we will.
It probably is more of a city issue.
For the data
There are
centers.
some of the closed loop systems that may not need, that
Right.
don't need near as much water. And if the water rights on property in the unincorporated, that would be where it would come to the county.
So that was the idea that we talked about, was getting together to make some, and Don's already stated that he'd like to have commission input before they do that in a public meeting. And so that's something that we could get together with and work on and get for suggestions to regulations.
Like Smith stated, most likely it'll be most likely it'll be in close to infrastructure and water and what's needed. But I'm sitting here thinking that in the county next door, there are 18 locations in that county that are being considered, and they aren't necessarily next to large cities. A lot of these that are being considered goes right back to what you said. The power structures are out in these unincorporated areas. So if you're going to get a task force together, I'm wondering, should that be solely like come from, like was stated, from the commission, or should it be have people on it from the proposed communities? And does that task force change, or do you simply have a task force in place and it's up to them to bring information from these smaller communities? Usually these things are outside of some smaller town. And my question is are they going to feel they have the representation they think they should have if it's going to be in their backyard? It's just a thought and a question. I kind of like the idea of getting some stuff in line and giving our planning and zoning people some guidelines we want followed. Kind of makes sense to me. But how do we actually involve the people who might actually have it right beside them? Yes, most likely it's going to be where you kind of state it because of infrastructure, water, things like that.
Yeah. Well, in that process with the conditional use permit, if I'm correct, like you were speaking, and I've said this before, there's going to be a process in the middle of that, if I'm not wrong, Mark, that the public will have a chance to speak on that conditional use report, like they always do, to be able to have a public hearing and an input in that. And I know you guys take that into consideration. And so even if you got a permit, it's going to be a little back and forth with us until that permit is finalized. And so, but they would have a chance to speak in that, certainly, would they not? Yeah.
And Commissioner Bogner, to kind of answer my thought on your comment is, the committee that we have in place, and probably the commissioners, as each of you are elected in a district, but yet you still represent the whole county. Yes. I would say it's probably a little bit up to the commissioners on that. And then staff, we obviously try to look out for the best of all of Reno County. So I think it would be up to whoever's on that committee to reach out to the people in that area to kind of understand what their concerns are, versus having a committee that's picking and choosing which location on which issue.
That was my thought. That's about impossible to do, but I still want the local people who are going to have it beside them to have a lot of input because I mean, that's the way it is. If something's across the road from you. And I've been getting a lot of calls, and not only from Reno County, but residents of Sedgwick County that are right on the line, because whatever they do over there or we do over here is going to, just because we draw a line in the sand here, doesn't mean we aren't affecting people that don't vote for us. They're our neighbors. We work with them every day in business. And I just want to make sure that they have all the input that they need to influence and get their points across.
Yeah, and I think that's part of our commissioner's job that would serve on this is to they'll feel plenty of questions.
So I guess with that, if we're going to have this committee, the chair would be on there, but is there another?
Yeah, I'll go on that.
Okay.
I'd volunteer.
Just keep me informed.
Okay. Well, all right. That's all I had.
Okay.
I think we will take about a 5-minute recess, at which time we will come back and I'll make a motion to go into executive session. And I move the board to enter into executive session until 11:15. Randy, what's your thought?
Let's make it 11:20.
11:20 till 11:20, beginning at
11:05.
5 minutes from now, with Human Resource Director Helen Foster and County Administrator Randy Partington and County Counselor John Settle. The subject matter to be county employee personal matters, and the justification for the executive session is to discuss personnel matters of non-elected personnel. And at which time we will come back after the executive session and will not have any final.
You're going to need a second and then the vote.
Yeah.
I'll second it.
Yeah, so.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded. Roll call.
Commissioner Parks,
Yes.
Commissioner Vincent,
Yes.
Commissioner Winger,
Yes.
Commissioner Bogner,
Yes.
Commissioner Hurst.
Yes. There will be
I'd make a motion to close the executive session.
I'll second that.
Been moved and seconded to close the executive session. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All right, with that, note that there's no decisions made. And so with that, we will consider the March 20 commission meeting as adjourned.